She almost steps on him. That is how close it comes. Sarah opens her front door at 6:09 in the morning, one foot already moving forward, coffee in her left hand, keys in her right, and she stops with her foot suspended in the air above a cardboard box sitting directly on her welcome mat, and the box is breathing. She does not move. Her foot hangs there. The cold air hits her face and her coffee is steaming and the box is breathing and the street behind it is completely, absolutely empty. She sets her coffee down on the porch rail. She kneels. She pulls back the folded flap. The baby looks up at her. Not crying, not sleeping, awake, eyes wide open and locked on hers with the specific, unblinking focus of someone who has been waiting. He is wrapped in a blue blanket that smells like another woman's laundry detergent. His left fist is pressed against his cheek. On his jaw, she sees it immediately. She will never unsee it, a bruise. Yellow-green, old enough to be fading, which means it is not from today, which means today is not the first bad day this child has had. Under the blanket, folded small, a piece of paper. She opens it. 4 words, pencil. The handwriting of someone pressing so hard the paper nearly tore. Please, he has nothing. Sarah reads it once. The baby watches her read it. Then, as if he has been patient long enough, as if he has given her exactly the time she needed to make her decision, he opens his mouth and cries. One cry, sharp and clean as a period at the end of a sentence. She picks him up. He stops the instant her warmth reaches him. His whole body unlocks. She can feel the tension leave him like a tide going out. And he turns his face into her neck and presses there, and makes a sound so small and so grateful that Sarah has to close her eyes for a second, because something is happening in her chest that she does not have a word for, and she needs a second to let it happen. Hi viewers, right here, right now, before this story goes any further, I need one word from you in the comments. Just one word that describes what you would feel in this exact moment. And subscribe, because what Gloria says to Sarah's face in Chapter 2 is something that will stop your blood cold. Stay with me. She calls 911 at 6:38 a.m. She is calm on the phone. She reports everything, the box, the note, the bruise, the car she half saw pulling away when she first opened the door. She does not cry. She does not rush. She gives the operator every detail in the order it happened. When the officer arrives, Sarah is in the rocking chair in the spare room. The baby is fed formula from a cabinet she has not opened in 2 years, formula she bought during a season of hope that she has never explained to anyone. The officer is kind and tired and tells her the child will need to go to a certified placement family. Sarah looks at the baby. His eyes are closed now. His mouth slightly open, the bruise on his jaw visible against the pale blanket. I want to apply for emergency placement, she says. Tell me who to call. The officer looks at her for a moment. He writes something down. She is on hold with the county before his car leaves the curb. She does not sleep. She sits in that rocking chair, the one she bought 18 months ago and told Marcus was on sale, and she holds this child through every hour of the dark, and at 3 a.m. she starts calling him Eli in her head. She does not say it out loud, but in her head, in the place where things become real before they are permitted to be, he already has a name. Marcus walks in at 6:15 a.m. from his overnight shift and stops in the kitchen doorway like he has walked into a wall of something invisible. Sarah looks up from the rocking chair. Someone left him, she says simply. I kept him. Marcus stares. She watches the thing move across his face. She knows this thing. She has watched it her whole marriage, the war between the man he wants to be and the family that built him. He takes his phone from his pocket. His thumb moves. Go ahead, she says quietly. Call her. He looks up. I know you need to, she says. Go ahead. He dials. Sarah holds Eli a little tighter and watches the sun come up through the window of the room that has been empty for 3 years, and waits for the storm she has been ready for longer than anyone in this story knows. 44 minutes later, Gloria's car turns onto the street. Sarah counts the seconds, 44 minutes. Gloria lives 22 minutes away, which means she was dressed when Marcus called, which means he called her last night. She files that away. She does not react to it. She simply adds it to the folder she has been building in her mind since the moment she picked up that phone at 6:38 a.m., the folder that already has a tab for everything that is coming. Gloria does not knock. She walks through the front door in a navy blazer and pearl earrings, and she does not knock, because she has never knocked at this house in 9 years. Because this house has always felt to her like an extension of her own, a place her son lives, a place she has access to, a place where her authority is assumed. She finds the baby in the bouncer's seat. She does not go to him. She stands across the room and looks at him the way a person looks at a problem they are already solving in their head. "How old?" she says. 6 or 7 weeks, Sarah answers. "We don't know exactly." "You don't know." Gloria turns to look at Sarah directly. The look is not cruel. It is something more deliberate than cruel. It is the look of a woman who has spent 9 years measuring someone and found them consistently wanting and has never bothered to hide it. "Where did you find it?" "Him," Sarah says. "His name is Eli." "You named it." "I named him." The room holds that exchange for a moment. Harold is in the corner by the window. Marcus stands in the doorway between the kitchen and the living room, in the exact middle, the way he always positions himself in this family, equidistant, uncommitted, waiting to see which way the gravity pulls. Gloria clasps her hands in front of her. She looks at Sarah with something that might, on a different face, be pity. But on Gloria's face it is not pity. It is the look of a woman about to say the thing she has always wanted to say and has finally found sufficient justification. "Sarah," her voice is level, measured. "I want you to hear me clearly. You are not this child's mother. You are not anyone's mother." A pause, 1 beat, 2. "You never will be. That is not a judgment. That is a medical fact. And building a life around a fantasy does not change the biology." The room goes completely still. Marcus closes his eyes. Harold looks at the floor. Sarah does not move. She does not flinch, does not breathe differently, does not let a single thing that is happening inside her reach her face. She sits with that sentence, the most nakedly cruel thing Gloria has said in 9 years of carefully indirect cruelty, and she lets it land completely. She lets herself feel the full weight of it. And then she looks at Gloria with the clear, level gaze of a woman who has just watched someone show her exactly who they are. "Thank you," Sarah says. Gloria blinks. "For making this easy," Sarah says. "I want you to leave my house now." "Sarah." "I want you to leave." Still quiet, still level. "And I want you to know that every word you just said is going to matter very much in the coming weeks. So I am glad you said it clearly." Gloria looks at Marcus, the lever, the mechanism, the thing she has always been able to move. Marcus looks at his mother. A long moment. Something traveling across his face that Sarah has not seen before, not courage exactly, not yet, but the thing that comes right before courage, the moment a person decides the cost of cowardice is finally too high. "Mom," he says, "you need to go." Gloria's chin lifts. Harold puts his hand on her arm. She lets him lead her to the door. When it closes, the house is the quietest it has ever been. Eli kicks his feet in the bouncer. Both of them look at him. He stares at the ceiling fan with the serene attention of someone above the concerns of the room. Marcus sits on the couch. He puts his face in his hands. After a moment he says, without looking up, "She is going to come at us with everything." I know, Sarah says. She has a lawyer. So do I, she says it before he can process it. I called Patricia Osai this morning. She is a family law specialist. I have already sent her the intake documentation. Marcus lifts his head. When did you? While you were driving home. He stares at his wife, really looks at her. The way people look at someone they have been married to for 9 years and are only now actually seeing. Who are you, he says, not accusing, genuinely asking. Someone who has been getting ready for this for a long time, she says. I just did not know what shape it would take. She watches him absorb that. Watches him start to understand what that means, the rocking chair, the formula, the folder, the county on hold before the officer's car left the curb. Watches the understanding move into something that looks, for the first time in this marriage, like genuine awe. Tell me what you need, he says. I need you to stay, she says. That is all, just stay. He nods, he does not look away. The legal letter arrives on day 4 and Sarah has already read it, photographed it, and emailed it to Patricia before the kettle boils. Patricia calls in 8 minutes. They filed fast and they filed hard, she says. Instability, unvetted environment, emotional decision-making. This firm is expensive. A pause that Sarah has already learned means Patricia is building to something important. But they made a mistake. What mistake? The entire filing rests on impulsivity. But you called 911 at 6:38 a.m. the morning you found him. You requested placement before the officer left. You have a time-stamped contact log with child services showing full cooperation from day 1. Patricia stops. Sarah, I have been doing this 15 years. Women who act impulsively do not have color-coded folders with tabs. Sarah looks at the folder on the counter. She made it the second morning, 4 a.m., while Marcus slept. I knew someone would come for him, she says quietly. Silence on the line. I want you to say that again, Patricia says. I knew the moment I picked him up that someone would try to take him. So I documented everything from the first hour. Every feeding time, every contact with the county, every photograph, every note. Patricia is quiet for 3 full seconds. How long have you been preparing for something like this? Sarah thinks about the rocking chair, the formula with the expiration date she keeps checking, the crib in the closet still in its box, the 3 years of a grief so private and so constant it has become like breathing, something she does without thinking, something that keeps her alive and costs her everything. A while, she says. The counterfiling goes in on Monday. Sarah does not tell Marcus until it is submitted. She sits him down, puts the papers between them, watches him read. When he finishes, he looks up and she sees shame cross his face, the specific shame of a man who is only now calculating how long someone he loves has been carrying weight he did not help lift. He picks up the pen without being asked. He signs. Patricia calls 2 days later. Gloria's attorney wants a full home evaluation. Schedule it, Sarah says immediately. These evaluations are invasive, Sarah. They dig into. Schedule it, let them dig. Patricia pauses. You are either the most prepared person I have ever represented, she says, or you know something I don't. Both, Sarah says, and she hangs up. The evaluator's name is Mr. Daniels. He arrives with a clipboard and the specific professional neutrality of a man who has decided nothing will surprise him. He spends 3 hours in the house. He checks every latch, every outlet, every window. He asks Sarah questions she has been answering to answer for weeks, and she answers all of them directly, fully, without hesitating. When he asks about the bruise, she hands him a folder, pediatric intake, ER form, time-stamped photographs. Follow-up notes, growth chart color-coded, tabbed. He looks at the folder for a long moment. You prepared this yourself, he says. Yes. He writes something on his clipboard, does not show her, she does not ask. She notices Gloria's car parked at the end of the block when he leaves. She watches from the upstairs window, Gloria watching his car disappear around the corner, Sarah watching Gloria. Neither of them is visible to the other, but they are both watching. 3 days later, Marcus comes home 3 hours early and sits at the kitchen table with his hands flat on the surface and a face the color of concrete. Sarah puts down her coffee. She called my boss, he says, told him the house is under legal investigation, that there is a contested child here, that my work performance has been suffering. He stares at the table. He called me in this morning. The room temperature drops. Sarah does not speak immediately. She sits down across from him and she lets herself feel the full architecture of what Gloria has done, not a reaction, not an emotion, but a strategy. A cold, precise, targeted move against the one variable that could shift the evaluation outcome. Attack the income. Trigger the instability finding. Make the home evaluation come back compromised. This is not a woman acting out of hurt. This is a woman trying to win. Does your boss still have the voicemail? Sarah says. Yes. She picks up her phone, she calls Patricia. 12 sentences, clean. When she finishes, Patricia is quiet. Sarah, Patricia says, interfering with employment to influence a custody proceeding is not just underhanded. Depending on how this is documented, it is potentially actionable. Another pause. She just gave us the case. Sarah puts the phone on the table. She looks at Marcus. His jaw is set differently than she has ever seen it, not the tightness of a man bracing for impact, but the tightness of a man who has finally, completely, irrevocably decided. He reaches across the table. She puts her hand in his. In the next room, Eli makes a sound in his sleep. Small content. Entirely unaware that the adults in his life are constructing and dismantling legal machinery around his small, perfect existence. Sarah squeezes Marcus's hand. He squeezes back. She does not sleep easily that night. She lies in the dark at 2 a.m. running variables. What if the evaluator found something she missed? What if the employment motion is denied? What if Gloria has one more card nobody has seen? The anxiety is specific and physical, lives in her sternum, won't be reasoned away. She gets up. She goes to the doorway of Eli's room. He is asleep on his back, one fist by his cheek, chest rising and falling, completely and utterly at peace. Like the world is exactly right. Like he is exactly where he is supposed to be. She stands there until her sternum unclenches. Then she goes back to bed. If you have ever stood in a doorway at 2 a.m. watching someone sleep, because it is the only thing that makes the fear stop, you already understand exactly what this story is about. Do not go anywhere. The evaluation report arrives on a Tuesday morning, and Patricia calls while Sarah is still looking at her phone. He used the word exceptional, Patricia says immediately. No greeting, just that. Not satisfactory, not adequate, exceptional. He cited documentation quality, developmental tracking, household stability, and the quality of attachment behavior he observed. Her voice has something in it Sarah has not heard before, something past professional. I have seen hundreds of these reports. This language is not standard. Sarah sits down. Her legs stop working correctly. The employment motion is filed, Patricia continues. Marcus's employer submitted a written statement. The voicemail is in evidence. A pause. But Sarah, I need to tell you something about the courtroom before we get there. Sarah straightens. Gloria's attorney is going to say the word miscarriages out loud, Patricia says carefully. He knows the records are inadmissible. He knows I will object and the judge will sustain it. but he is going to say it anyway in front of strangers in a room where it echoes, because Gloria wants to watch your face when you hear it in public. She wants the moment. She wants to see you break. The word lands in Sarah's chest. It always lands there, that specific location. She thinks about the first one. 11 weeks. The bathroom floor. Marcus's arms around her from behind for 3 days straight without her asking. She thinks about the second one. 8 weeks. A hospital waiting room alone because she told Marcus she was fine. Do not rush. She would be fine. She was fine. She has been fine every time because fine is what she has built over the wreckage of not fine, brick by brick, year by year, and the building is solid now in a way that only gets built from the inside. Let him say it, she says. Sarah. Let him say it out loud. Her voice does not waver. I have been living with my story for 3 years. She has been using it as a weapon for 9. It is time everybody in that room sees the difference between those two things. Patricia is quiet. When she speaks, something in her voice has shifted permanently. I took this case because the legal argument was clean, she says. That is not why I am in it anymore. That night Marcus makes pasta, sets the table with the good plates, says nothing about why. They eat together, Eli in the high chair making a careful investigation of a piece of soft bread, and the kitchen is warm and the light is low and the court date is in 11 days, and none of that is allowed in this room right now, and they both honor that without discussing it. After Eli is asleep, Sarah stands in his doorway. Marcus appears behind her. They stand together in the dark, listening to the small, steady sound of him breathing. Left side snore, Marcus says quietly. Left side snore, she says back. He finds her hand in the dark. She does not look at him. She does not need to. The courtroom is pale beige and fluorescent and smells like paper, and the specific controlled anxiety of people waiting for something that cannot be undone. Sarah walks in with Marcus and Patricia, and she does not look at Gloria. She feels Gloria looking at her. Patricia is sharp and economic and does not perform. She presents the evaluation report. She presents Eli's records, weight gain consistent, every milestone on track. She presents Denise's written assessment. She presents the employment interference evidence and plays the voicemail. Gloria's voice fills the room, measured, deliberate, telling Marcus's employer that his household is unstable, that his wife's emotional state has affected his performance, that the situation requires the employer's awareness. The judge, silver hair, reading glasses on a chain, a stillness about her that suggests she has heard everything and is surprised by nothing and has very little patience for people who think otherwise, writes one note. Her pen moves once. Sarah watches it. Gloria's attorney is skilled and fast. He pivots, reframes. Patricia dismantles him. He pivots again and Sarah sees him set it up, the lean forward, the slight change in register, the preparation for the thing Patricia warned her was coming. Your Honor, it provides relevant context that the petitioner has experienced significant reproductive loss, including 2 miscarriages and a medical determination that. Objection. Patricia is standing before the sentence closes. Counsel is citing illegally obtained records already ruled inadmissible in this proceeding. Sustained. The judge's voice has changed, not louder, colder. Counsel, I will not hear that argument in this courtroom. Move forward. He moves forward. And Sarah takes 2 seconds. She gives herself exactly 2 seconds to feel the full weight of those words in this fluorescent room, the 2 losses in this public place, the intimacy of her grief laid out in front of strangers by someone who obtained it illegally to use it as ammunition. 2 seconds. Then she lifts her chin. She brings her eyes back to level. She breathes out through her nose and she sits straight and still, and she gives Gloria's side of the room absolutely nothing. Not strength performed, not composure forced. Just a woman who has already made peace with her story sitting in a room where someone tried to make it a wound and found it was a spine instead. She feels Gloria watching her face. She does not turn. Marcus testifies. He is calm and clear, and when Patricia asks if he fully supports the adoption petition, he says yes with no pause and no qualifier. And the yes lands in the room like something solid and permanent being set down. The judge deliberates for 19 minutes. Sarah counts every one of them. When the judge returns, she removes her glasses and looks at Sarah, and the quality of that attention, direct, steady, the look of a woman who has been watching this whole proceeding and has reached a conclusion she is confident in and is about to say so, makes Sarah's heart do something complicated in her chest. The petition of the paternal grandparents is denied. Placement remains with the foster caregiver. Given the documented quality of care and the established bond, this court recommends the adoption review be expedited immediately. She sets her glasses on the bench. She looks at Gloria's attorney with the particular focus of a person identifying something precisely. The conduct of the opposing party in this proceeding, specifically the illegal acquisition of private medical records and the documented interference with household employment, warrants referral to the Bar Association. That referral will be made today. She looks at him directly. I recommend your client consider very carefully the full cost of any further action. Gloria stands. The chair scrapes the floor. Her attorney reaches for her arm. She lets him hold her there because there is nowhere left to go, and the knowing of that is written across her face in a way that cannot be managed or controlled or redirected. Harold looks at Sarah. She meets it, holds it. 3 full seconds. No triumph, no anger, no performance, just I see you. I see exactly what you chose to do. And I am still standing in this room, and this child is still mine, and you are going to have to go home and live with the difference between those two things. She looks away first, not because she has to, because she is done with him. Outside the courthouse, the air is cold and bright, and Marcus wraps both arms around her from behind on the courthouse steps, and holds her there, and does not say anything, and she grips his forearms and closes her eyes and feels the city moving around them. Loud and indifferent and completely unaware that something enormous just happened on these steps. She does not cry until the car door closes. Then she cries for 4 minutes, not performing, not releasing for the camera of her own mind. Just crying the way a body cries when the thing it has been holding for a very long time is finally allowed to put itself down. Marcus hands her a travel pack of tissues from the glove compartment without a word. She looks at him. You put those there this morning, she says. I put those there for you, he says. She looks at the tissues. She looks at him. And in that small, quiet, completely ordinary gesture she feels the full weight of what this man has become in the last 3 months, not perfect, not early enough, not without his failures, but here. Present. Finally, completely, irreversibly here. She takes his hand. He drives them home. The adoption is finalized on a Friday in June on a morning that smells like cut grass and warm pavement, and the particular weightlessness of a day that has been a long time coming. Eli wears a yellow onesie with a small duck on the chest. Sarah did not plan it. She notices it when she is dressing him and cannot speak for a moment. Just holds him there with the onesie half-snapped and looks at the duck, because some things are too perfectly exactly right and you have to stop and let them be exactly right before the moment passes. The courtroom is smaller and warmer today, and somebody has put balloons in the corner, and the judge has kind eyes and reads slowly, giving each sentence its full weight. And when he says Eli's name for the first time as a legal permanent fact, Elijah Marcus Carter, The sound of it fills the room the way a sound fills a room when it was always supposed to be said, and is only now getting there. Sarah makes a sound she does not try to stop. Marcus pulls her close. The gavel comes down, and the child who was left in a box on a cold porch with a bruise on his jaw and 4 words in pencil. He has nothing, please, becomes, in the record of every court and every document and every system that will ever concern itself with his life, somebody's son. On the courthouse steps, Eli turns his face into Sarah's neck the way he always does when the sun is too bright. Every person nearby either laughs or cries. Most of them do both. 6 weeks later, Sarah writes an article she does not intend to write. It starts as notes on her phone at 2 a.m. about what it means to be called barren by people who expected you to take that word as a sentence. About the formula in the back of the cabinet, and the rocking chair, and the 3 years of silent, private preparation for a child she did not know how to find. About the morning she found him instead. About what the word please can do when it is written by a hand that is out of options. An editor reads it, calls her on a Tuesday. The piece runs 3 weeks later. The response is immediate and enormous and personal in a way that surprises Sarah and surprises no one who has been paying attention to how many women are walking around carrying a grief that has no public name. The messages say, "I thought I was broken." They say, "I thought I was alone." They say, "I have never told anyone this but." Sarah reads everyone. She writes back to as many as she can. And then, because Sarah is who she builds a door. If someone has ever told you that you were not enough, do not move. Watch what she does next. She calls it the Open Door Foundation. It funds legal representation for families navigating adoptions where opposition or cost is the only wall between a child and a permanent home. Patricia joins the advisory board on the first day. Denise becomes the first community partner. The launch is a Saturday in spring. Eli wears a button-down shirt he spends 15 minutes trying to remove. Marcus rebuttons it every time with the patience of a man who has accepted his purpose. The room is full of people who found each other through the article and cannot stop talking. Gloria and Harold do not come. 3 days before the event, a card arrives. White envelope. Sarah's name on the front in handwriting she does not immediately recognize. She opens it at the counter. 2 sentences. Harold's hand, not Gloria's. "We were wrong. He is lucky to have you." She reads it twice. She puts it in the junk drawer, not the important drawer, not framed, not given the ceremony it has not earned yet, but not in the trash. Because Sarah knows the difference between what a person deserves today and what they might become if given enough time and enough truth, and she is not interested in closing any door before she is certain it should be closed. Eli turns one in the fall. 3 of them, a small yard October light coming sideways through the oak tree. 1 candle. A cake Marcus makes from a box with the commitment of a man at peace with his limitations. Eli gets frosting in his eyebrow and looks so pleased about it that both of his parents laugh at exactly the same time. Sarah takes the photograph. She holds the screen up and looks at it longer than necessary. A baby covered in cake, a husband leaning in, a yard full of afternoon light, and she feels the full weight of everything that had to happen, everything that had to be survived and documented and fought and endured, just to arrive at this single ordinary, extraordinary, unrepeatable moment. She posts it with no caption. None is needed. Wednesday, November, 6:52 a.m. Eli drops his toast off the high chair tray. It hits the tile. He looks at it on the floor. He looks at Sarah. And he laughs full body, completely delighted, like gravity is the funniest thing that has ever happened to anyone. Sarah laughs too. She cannot help it. And in that laugh, In that specific ordinary 6:52 on a Wednesday laugh, something that has been held tight in the center of her chest for a very long time finally, completely lets go. This is it, this is the whole thing, not the gavel, not the verdict, not the moment Gloria's chair scraped the courtroom floor, not Patricia's voice saying the word exceptional at 7 in the morning. It is this: toast on the tile, a baby who finds physics hilarious, Marcus at the door pulling on his jacket and looking back with the small, private smile of a man who knows he is exactly where he belongs. This is what winning looks like. The foundation funds 11 cases in its first year. 3 finalize. 2 are still moving. Every single one of them is a child who almost did not happen. Every single one is a person who exists fully and permanently because someone chose to open a door instead of close it. Gloria calls in December. 4 minutes. She asks about Eli. Sarah tells her. She asks quietly about a visit sometime after the new year. Sarah says she will talk to Marcus. A door left open, just enough for air to move through, not because it was earned, not because the card in the junk drawer was sufficient, but because Sarah has learned that grace is not a reward you give people when they deserve it. Grace is a decision you make about who you want to be. She hangs up. The kitchen is warm around her. November light comes through the window at the low gold angle it only gets in late fall, the kind of light that makes everything look like it was staged for something important, like the world is making a point. The woman they called barren. The child they tried to take. The home they were certain they could dismantle. Still here, all three, on a Wednesday in the light. If this story found you at the right moment, share it tonight with one person who is in the middle of a fight they are one day away from walking away from. Not because they need to hear about Sarah. Because they need to know that the woman who was told she was a medical fact, a closed door, a dead end. She built a foundation, raised a son, and changed 100 lives, all because she opened her front door one cold morning and decided that 4 words written in pencil by a desperate hand were reason enough to try. She was right. So are you.